All right, we got a lot to cover, so I'm going to try to be general in everything that I go over concerning Mars the Carpenter. Now, I could put this in two ways with Mars. Mars the Carpenter and Mars the Warrior, all right? But right now, what I want to focus on is Mars the Carpenter, not Mars the Warrior, okay? Mars the Carpenter goes more so with Aries, which is a fire sign, and it's the fire trine that is our power of creativity or creation. Mars the Warrior is through Scorpio, which is regeneration and power. Understand? Okay? So this is a different aspect of Mars, a different context of Mars. So right now, I want to talk about Mars the Carpenter for the simple fact where we're at right now in our soul's journey, collectively, we're on a new timeline. And Mars is the one that initiates the steps and process that materializes your reality from your physical efforts within the laws of physics. Understand, okay? Where things get tangible, all right? So, Mars the Carpenter, how does this work? How does your Mars operate in the first place? This is what I want to make a clear understanding of, is how your Mars works, okay? So, we're not going to get into poetry, fancy words, or this other stuff. I'm going to kick it to you like I'm standing at the bodega, just putting you on, you heard? So, look in the corner on the image that I'm showing you up here. You can see there's a carpenter. Some people don't know what a carpenter is. I've been a carpenter for 17 years, going on 18 years now, okay? We are craftsmen, okay? We're blue-collar craftsmen. We build and construct houses, cabinets, furniture, different things of that nature with wood. Some carpenters work with steel, such as scaffolding. I'm also an experienced scaffolding carpenter as well. Cup lock, pin lock, swing stages. I do all that stuff. Understand? My hands are like, it's like sandpaper, okay? I got very rough hands because of my career. So you see the carpenter in the picture, all right? That is the epitome of Ogun, Mars, okay? The carpenter. So think of Mars as a carpenter in this concept. I'm going to go over Neptune and Jupiter, who Mars works with in order to manifest a creation for you, okay? Neptune and Jupiter. Now, where have you seen Neptune and Jupiter together? Obviously in Pisces. Jupiter alone or on its own isolation as a lord over the 9th house, okay? So Mars works off of Neptune and it works off of Jupiter to do its thing as a carpenter. And I'm going to explain exactly how that works. That's what all of this is about. I want you to know how you can become more intentional, aligned, okay? And not shooting blanks, all right? Save your bullets. Use one bullet for one kill. You understand? Use one bullet for one kill. And that's why I want to give you this information so that you can be more intentional and aligned with what you got going on according to your natal birth chart and what's specific to you. Now, Mars the Carpenter, the mysterious relationship of Mars, Neptune, and Jupiter. All right? So, your Mars is an impulse that works off of your testosterone. It works off of your disagreeable nature. It also works off of your iron as a mineral. It burns iron as a mineral, okay? In order to manifest this within the biochemical or physiological disposition of the self as a reality, okay? So that testosterone is telling you to create, to give, to do, to manipulate the environment, to cause things to happen or not, okay? That testosterone is telling you what to do. And it's also sustaining and providing for it the strength to do it as well. The aggression to do it. The assertiveness to do it, okay? The willpower and initiation to do so. Who does Mars work for? Okay, Mars works for the sun, just like all the planets do, okay? The planets are the disciples of the sun, S-U-N, okay? They are the disciples of the sun. They are the disciples of the sun. Understand that everything works for the sun. The sun is where the intent first begins. It generates from the soul going outward. Mars, however, it sticks to his father, Jupiter, okay? Ifa Yoruba tradition, I understand this to be the relationship between Ogun, the god of war, the god of iron, and his father, Obatala, the god of light, okay? The compassionate, the creative god of light, Jupiter. Now, in the star system, well, in the solar system that we are in, Jupiter and Mars are on the opposite sides of the astral belt, okay? The asteroid belt, that is. They're on the opposite ends of the asteroid belt. Jupiter is outside the asteroid belt. Mars is inside the asteroid belt. That is significant. What is significant about it is Mars is a defender. The harm, the threat, obviously, is right there with the asteroids, okay? In the higher self, Jupiter is first. Outside of that, coming inward, Mars is first as a defender inside of that, okay? Overlooking all that is within that. So the interpersonal planets are within that. The outer planets of higher consciousness are outside of that rule over the timelines. Understand, okay? So Mars the carpenter wants to build and construct what it is that your heart is having an intention for, okay? What your heart wants to manifest. Now, to make this specific to you, you would have to refer to your heart soul urge number. Mars is there to build and rebuild. Build Aries, rebuild Scorpio, okay? Build Aries, rebuild Scorpio. Understand, you have to put a re in front of Scorpio, okay? Build through Aries, rebuild through Scorpio, okay? So it's there to build according to your heart soul urge number, the impulse of the heart, the impulse of the soul, that particular vibration. What context he's building according to, what concept he's building according to, it will change from time to time according to the theme of Neptune, Jupiter, and the North and South Node, obviously, as well, okay? This also includes lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, different things of that nature, all right, which changes events of timeline, measures of timeline, and what we are going to experience. However, Mars refers to Neptune and Jupiter. Now, Neptune gives the vision, okay? But before I speed ahead into that, Mars is where you're always wanting to express through physics, through the physical plane, what the heart is inclined to express, what the heart's urge is to do, okay? So if you have, for example, heart soul urge 1, your Mars is always going to be fighting for you to be the best, to be the first, to initiate, to start, to assume responsibility in leadership positions and roles, to always try to go to the top, to initiate, okay? That is a heart soul urge 1. I have the heart soul urge 1, okay? Mars conjunct the sun. Therefore, Mars is in direct correlation with my heart, which is why you hear the intensity. You understand? So that makes a very competitive person. Like, I refuse to lose. I refuse to be second. I refuse to die. You understand? So that Mars is always going to prevail. It's going to keep you ahead. It's going to keep you first. There, of course, will be exercises and trials, for the spirit, where we have to endure, experiences where we don't always get what we want. But there's benefits and blessings in passing through challenges that are developmental. Understand? However, Mars is there to keep that expression alive in the heart, the number 1. Okay, so whatever that vibration is, that is what Mars is serving. Is serving that heart soul urge number to make it manifest. Mars is also defending the identity. Okay, it's defending the identity. So your first house, whatever energy, signs, aspects that you have going on in the first house, Mars is making sure that that theme, that story, that meaning, that image remains consistent and true and authentic to who you are. However, this does not mean that we don't have the power to go against our own authenticity, obviously. Okay, we could be living a lie, we could be quite delusional, we could go astray from our authentic identity, image, and destiny. Understand? However, Mars is there to make sure that there's enough strength, there's enough willpower, and there's enough aggression, assertiveness, okay, to preserve the first house, the personality that you have to express yourself through, deliver your heart's expressions through, and to confirm your destiny through that first house. Mars is defending it, okay? Mars is giving vitality to the body. It gives vitality and strength to the body. Again, remember, testosterone. What are we without testosterone? The body is defenseless. Also, iron. When we think about our immune system, our metabolism and immune system, without iron, we could suffer, in many ways, biologically or biochemically. Even, in matters such as anemia, we can become anemic, okay? The immune system is vulnerable without iron, the first defense of the immune system, okay? Copper deals with bacterial, which is Venus. However, Mars deals with viral, infections and such, which is through Mars, okay? Iron. And when it gets accelerated, it goes through Uranus, which is zinc, okay? Once it has become a big problem, okay? That's when you bring out the big guns, Uranus or zinc, okay? That's Shango or Bashango. However, with Mars, it's first defense of the immune system, preserving the immune system. Also preserving the balance of the head, okay? The balance of the head. A person has ADD, for example. Iron can give balance to a mind that scatters, okay? Iron can give balance to a mind that scatters. Testosterone can give balance to a mind that scatters and wanders. Testosterone gives us the ability to maintain and hold focus, troubleshooting, disagreeable situations, things of that nature, okay? So this is where our testosterone takes favorable position with our existence, okay? Understand. Now, having said that, moving on, I want you to think about the word assert, okay? The word assert. Mars is what gives us our assertive nature. Where Mars is at in your natal birth chart, that is where you tend to assert yourself. That's where you tend to take initiative. That's where you tend to go first. That's where you tend to have more disagreeable nature. That's where you tend to have more resilience. That's where you tend to have more strength. That's where you tend to have a masculine disposition that maintains steadily, a masculine disposition, okay? That's where you tend to be more logical, because when it comes to Mars, Mars converts everything to black or white. There's no in between, because Mars is a warrior, okay? Mars is a carpenter. So I have to have a fine line. I have to have a definite line at all times, because I may have to cut. I may have to measure. I may have to manipulate the physical material realm. So this happens also psychologically. Mars is a logical disposition that causes you to separate and divide things. One team versus the other. I notice that these people do this and these people do that. So a person who looks through Mars, they see things in a matter of division. Is it a bad thing? No. Is it a good thing? No. It is neither. Okay? It is what it is. Can it become a bad thing? Of course. Can it become a good thing? Absolutely. But it's neither. Understand that. This is neutral because it's just simply dealing with the physics of Mars, in a spiritual sense, okay? So Mars converts things to black and white. It causes us to notice and realize the differences in things, okay? Mars is also where we tend to measure things, okay? We are more logical and linear. And in measuring, we keep count. How many times did this happen? How many times did that happen? And this is what informs other impulses to pick up patterns. Okay, it starts with Mars. Understand that. A great example of the division factor would be, and the fact that, okay, 2022, 2023, when Mars was retrograde for 7 months, well, for 9 months, this was during the time where Elon Musk purchased Twitter, which is now X, and that was the culture shift where there was a division in the ethereal. And this is where men and women had their differences, and this is where liberals and conservatives had their differences, and it started to become noticed. It started to become realized. The division, the separation started to become more enhanced and obvious in society because Mars reprogrammed Gemini, the ethereal, to give us a separation in thought. Understand? Jupiter is healing that, okay? Jupiter retrograde is healing that. However, Mars is now doing the same thing in Cancer. And with Mars doing so in Cancer, it's dividing the cultures. It's dividing the cultures. Understand? It's also causing separation from woman and adolescent, well, arrested developmental females, okay? Women and arrested developmental females. It's separating it. The mature females from the immature. Culture. It's separating in culture. What are the cultural differences? In other words, not what I think, not what I know, but who I identify with because of beliefs, okay? Who I identify with because of beliefs. Division is being made in that, okay? If you look anywhere in media, you can see that this is the case and it's being sharpened by the day. And the division of culture is based on sentiment. It's based on emotion. It's based on feelings. It's based on ideals of righteous anger. What is supposed to be right? What is supposed to be wrong? What is supposed to be good? What is supposed to be bad? Who should have had an advocate? Who needs advocates and who shouldn't? What side of the fence should advocacy be on? This is what Mars is separating and dividing. Whenever Mars causes separation and division, it becomes a point of study. It becomes a part of insight. It becomes a point of wisdom. It becomes a point of transformation of our consciousness over time until the north and south node changes that context before Mars goes retrograde yet again. Understand, okay? So Mars does a lot. Mars the carpenter is different than Mars the warrior because the carpenter simply wants to take the heart soul urge and manifest it into a tangible reality, okay? But we're going to go over what Mars utilizes in order to do that. Okay, so an insert again. Mars and Venus, I want you to remember this concerning Mars and Venus, that Mars without Saturn is an adolescent male, okay? Venus without Saturn is an adolescent female, okay? Never forget this, okay? Mars has to have Saturn in order for it not to be destructive. Venus has to have Saturn in order for it not to be destructive. And what that means to have it is to check in with its authority, okay? Mars has to lead through the authority of Saturn. Therefore, in all of your ways, when you act on your Mars, when you utilize your Mars, make sure your Saturn is part of that strategy, that plan, or that action so that there's less regrets. Understand? Without Saturn, we do not have maturity. And without maturity, we have delusion. Without maturity, we cannot receive love. We cannot receive guidance. We cannot receive understanding. We cannot receive advice. We cannot receive admonition. We cannot find the agreement, the alignment, the unity in this universe, in this world. We cannot conceptualize the grace that's always with us without maturity. Maturity is part of all of our fortune. That maturity. Understand? The self-restraint, the obedience. Learn the obedience through the things that he suffered. We have to have that maturity. Or we're reckless, impulsive, constantly creating and co-creating regrets. Without Saturn, Mars is a strong youth looking for blood and violence. Without Saturn, Venus is a young, beautiful female manipulating her way through life. Understand? So this is what we get when we don't pair this impulse with Saturn. That Mars will quickly go to that amygdala and short circuit. It will skip those steps. It's like an officer in the chain of commands who knows it has to go to its higher up before that it does something, but instead it skips and goes straight into action. Who told you to do that? Who authorized you to do that? And now you got regrets. Now, one of the things that Mars uses is Neptune, okay? Mars uses the impulse of Neptune. Mars also uses the impulse of Jupiter together in order to create, okay? So let's focus first on Neptune. First of all, Neptune and Jupiter, as I already mentioned, are two lords of Pisces, okay? And it's obvious that this goes back to the subconscious, okay? Mars has a direct access and relationship with the subconscious. And when we are not developed in our superconscious and our cognitive mind as exercises connecting ourselves to our emotional intelligence, such as our intuition through the moon, our instincts through Mars and Pluto Scorpio, okay? When we do not have a healthy relationship with that, we become what's called impulsive. Impulsive. When we are impulsive, we are reading from Neptune and Jupiter through our Mars, and Mars is gaining its own authorization rather than us intentionally giving it authorization through the shortcut of the amygdala, okay? Mars can take a shortcut to create or co-create for you through the amygdala. That is how Mars creates something without obtaining permission, without getting consent, without having your authorization. Mars, the carpenter or the warrior, which it's usually the warrior that does that, okay, will go straight to the amygdala through Scorpio. It will short circuit and it will make an executive decision on its own behalf, and it will impulsively create something or co-create something. And it's usually something you regret, okay, because it goes to the fight-flight center, all right? So Mars can have you to be impulsive if Mars does not have a healthy relationship with all of his higher authorities, with his higher ups, with the chains of authority, such as especially Jupiter, your higher learning, your higher conscious, your philosophy, your understanding in life, your spiritual and religious knowledge that's founded upon you through elders and wiser people. And also through your discipline and your self-restraint, your sense of obedience through Saturn, okay? So when you do not have a healthy relationship with those or your intuition through the moon, okay, you become impulsive. And what ends up happening is Mars skips all these chains of commands and it goes straight to the amygdala, bam, and it's creating something that later on you're going to regret. Or instantly you're going to regret. Bam, I just shot somebody. Bam, I just stabbed somebody. Bam, I just crashed a car. I went out and did this. I went out and did that, and I regret it now. This is what happens when Mars is not following a chain of command. Okay? So the things that I'm explaining to you now is part of the chain of command, but it's not necessarily the higher authorities. It's simply the offices that Mars must go to in order to get the draft from Neptune, the image from Neptune, and the draft from Jupiter. Okay, so you think of yourself as a carpenter or a project manager who wants to build something, okay? And somebody says, okay, do you have a concept drawing for this, what you want to do? That's when you go to Neptune. You say, hey, Neptune, I really want to create something. I want to create that heart soul urge number 1 or 3 or 5 or 7, whatever your heart soul urge number is. Mars says, okay, I'm ready. I'm sitting here at the Union Hall. I got my boots on and I'm not working. Put me to work, right? So you get restless when that Mars is not working. You get impulsive when that Mars is not working. You get fidgety. You're all over the place. And, the idle mind is a devil's workshop. You understand? You're in that situation. But when Neptune can give you a vision, this is different. Okay? So basically, you're like in this situation, Mars would be like the unemployed carpenter, okay, who calls down to the hall to get work. Okay? So Neptune has a concept, all right? And that's work for Mars. So Mars is like, hey, Neptune, what you got for me? So Neptune is like, well, actually, I do have a concept that we're working on. Oh, a concept, okay? The concept is when you start using your imagination to manifest. It's when you start pulling off of your imagination to think of what you want to feel, what you want to experience, where you want to be, what you want it to consist of, what feeling do you want to have from it, who do you want to be there, how much, where, what time, you understand? So you're putting all these things in your imagination, okay? You remember the song Jay-Z, Feeling It, right? I'm feeling it, feel the legs pushing up on the set, feeling it. Feel the high that you get from the lie. If you feel it, raise your L in the sky. You know what I'm saying? That's manifestation. You're feeling it, okay? So Neptune is where your imagination kicks in and you start conceptualizing ideas, ideals, okay? Ideal is the key word. You start conceptualizing and imaging in your head ideals of who you want to be, where you want to be, how you want it to be. You understand? Now you have pictures. Now you have images. And you also have feelings to go with it. Okay? So this is more than just putting on a screen. It's like you have it on the blue screen, but you smell what you're looking at. You taste what you're looking at. You feel what you're looking at, right? You want to be on the beach and you feel the water before it's even there, right? You get all your senses involved. Remember, Neptune is the higher exponent of Venus, okay? It's the exponent of the astral body. And the astral body has to feel its way into realities. The astral body longs to feel certain things through the sensory perception, okay? So you're conceptualizing what you want to feel, what you want to sense, what experience you wish to pass through, okay? So you get the concept. Once you get the concept artist Neptune, okay? Picture Neptune like the concept artist, okay? You got Mars. Mars is a carpenter. He's walking downtown, okay? He takes the train downtown to go to the, graphic design building, okay? To go to Neptune's office, right? And he goes to Neptune's office, and Neptune, the concept artist, is sitting right there at the desk. What you got for us? Well, so-and-so wants a new car. And according to so-and-so's imagination, so-and-so wants the car to be white. They want it to be, nice and spacious. They want it to be this type. They want it to be a Mercedes Benz. They want it to have leather seats. They want it to feel like this. They want it to smell like that. Okay. So Neptune is the concept artist that casts that image. And that's where it starts. Okay. The things I'm saying is being said in plain language, but don't get it twisted. It's deep, but I'm not going to say it's deep so that it's unattainable, but it's deep so that we don't underestimate what I'm saying here, okay? Where does creation start? It starts in your imagination. Come on. It starts in your imagination, and Neptune connects your imagination to your emotion and your feeling. Okay? It connects it to your emotion and it connects it to your feeling. Anything with Neptune does not have a form yet. It doesn't exist yet. It's of the essence. Neptune returns things to the essence. It dissolves things that has form back into its essence. Okay? Anything that is something, it becomes its essence once it deals with Neptune. For example, you have a gold watch and you have a gold ring. I say, hey, give me the gold watch and give me the gold ring. What do you say you want? I want a gold necklace. Okay, give me the gold watch and give me the gold ring. What does Neptune do? It melts it down to its most authentic state. It melts it down to its essence, which is gold. Okay, so now you have liquid gold. So Neptune says, okay, what did you say you want again? The necklace? All right, I got you. What, a Cuban link? I bet I got you. So I'm going to cast you a Cuban link. But who's the one that cast though? Right? Okay, so Neptune knows what you want. So Neptune dissolves it into liquid and Neptune prepares it as an image. Okay, dissolves it into liquid, its essence, and prepares it as an image. Okay, so I'm going to draw this Cuban link gold necklace for you. Is that what you said you want? And you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, I'm going to talk to my pops Jupiter and I'm going to get Jupiter to actually draft it. Okay, and once Jupiter drafts it, we can then physically make it. But I got the essence of it right here with me. Does that make sense? You understand? Okay, so hopefully, we still following along. Now, Neptune, the same way that I explained to you with the gold, okay, it goes in the reverse as well. Okay, so Neptune can work in such a way as where you have certain things in your life that your timeline has already exhausted for you, and you realize you're no longer connected to that thing from the soul. Neptune can dissolve things that you already have developed through. But it looks like you're losing something, but you're not. Okay? Follow me. Stay with me. It looks like you're losing something. This could be a person or it could be a thing. It could be a person or it could be a thing. Okay? It also could be a certain status or experience. Neptune can dissolve those things and it seems like you're losing something. But really what's happening? Neptune is dissolving it back to its essence. He's dissolving it back into a liquid so it could be cast into something else that has the same essence. You follow me? So did you really lose something? For example, you have this dog that you just love so much and, matter of fact, Pisces rules over animals, okay? The dog dies, all right? And you feel like you lost the dog, okay? But really Neptune dissolved the dog, the essence of that dog, which was unconditional love, okay? And the unconditional love returns to you in a new form, okay? Let's say one day you inherit somebody's cat or somebody's dog again, and in essence, that unconditional love came right back to you. Or you have a child and that unconditional love came back to you. In many forms, it can come back to you. But basically what it is that Neptune dissolves the form of it, keeping the essence and returning it back to you in its essence through another form, okay? Just like I explained to you with the gold watch, all right? So it seems like you're losing a watch and a ring, but really you still have the same value of gold. You just lost the form of the watch and the form of the ring, but you still have the essence of the gold to cast into a new manifestation. So you haven't lost the value, you just lost the form that the value was manifest in. Okay, understand? So it changes. There's really no such thing as loss. It's an illusion. There's really no such thing as loss. It's an illusion. If you lose something, Neptune is only dissolving it in order to give that essence back to you in a form that fits your timeline or your current reality. Understand? Understand, okay? Neptune, the concept artist, okay? So your concept is cast by Neptune. Neptune paints the first picture, draws the first drawing, projects the first image of what it is that you want to bring into existence. Remember, everything agrees to the heart, soul, urge number, and everything goes down the pipeline of the life path, okay? Ask that question if you don't know what that means, okay, down below. So I want to make sure everybody understands everything, okay? Now, imagining the ideal concept. Ideal is the word you always want to use with Neptune. What is ideal, okay? What is ideal to you? What is ideal for you? Now, let's go to the next step. So you got the drawing of what you want. And Neptune, again, has the power to dissolve things back into its essence or to draw a certain value out of the essence in order to take a form. But where does the actual process of creation in physics take place, okay? Remember, Jupiter is at the asteroid belt. And the asteroid belt is where the personal biological experience begins in physics, okay? So it's Jupiter that takes what is heavenly and converts it to the first step of physics. Follow me. Before physics are angels, okay? So Neptune is of the angelic realm. It's of angelic frequencies, okay? Jupiter is where the laws of physics begin. Therefore, it's where Orishas take over, which are the Elohim, or the spirits of form, okay? The Elohim, or spirits of form, inherit the illumination of angelic forces. Angelic forces are of heaven. They are heavenly. If they are heavenly, they are of the superconscious. They are of the higher conscious. Understand? That means heavenly, okay? Illumination of the higher conscious, higher frequency. In order to descend into the laws of physics to where you take it as a mathematical concept, it has to be subject to creativity. Creativity. A concept is not yet creativity until it agrees with the laws of physics. Agreement with the laws of physics, for example, you just know that you want a luxury car, right? You want to have a luxurious experience. Jupiter, through its power of creativity, is going to give specifications to that, okay? Jupiter, through its competence of the earthly physical realm, ninth house, is going to give details to that, measures, okay, to that concept. It's going to correlate it to that which does already exist, so that that which does not exist can take form through what does exist. See how that pairs together, okay? So that which does not exist, the concept, the heavenly, okay? Neptune, it has to take form, its essence, by pairing with an appropriate match of that which does exist. And now the laws of Jupiter takes over the physical realm, which Jupiter is the father of Orishas. Obatala is the father of Orishas, okay? Understand, for this reason, because he is where the laws of physics begins in our experience of manifestation through the power of creativity, okay? This also pairs with optimism and creativity through Pisces, okay? Optimism and creativity. Creativity draws upon your understanding of the physical realm and material, mathematics, geometry, okay? Concepts of the memory, okay? Optimism, it pulls off of faith, okay? The higher frequency of optimism is faith, okay? Optimism is a step down from faith. Faith is with Neptune. Optimism is with Jupiter. Remember, there's a conversion. Neptune is handing over the energy to Jupiter. So when Neptune handed that energy over to Jupiter, it is faith when it is with Neptune, but it becomes optimism when it gets to Jupiter. Okay? Pay attention. It is faith when it is with Neptune. Okay? It is optimism when it goes to Jupiter. Okay? Optimism, you are enthusiastic, you are hopeful, and you are confident in your ability to transfer a thought into reality. Understand? Okay? That is part and key of this manifestation process that's taking place. Remember, Neptune and Jupiter are both lords of Pisces, and this is the reason why. Okay? Coming through the waters of Pisces is where all this takes place, again, through the waters of Pisces. All right? The waters of Pisces. Into nothingness, out of nothingness. Understand both directions. Now, let's talk about Jupiter. Let's specify Jupiter. Okay, this part right here, this little segment I'm putting in it's an insert recording, you know what I mean? So it might sound like it's a little off from the timeline, but I had to insert a detail concerning Neptune in the 12th house. Okay, Saturn is passing through Pisces. Remember that. Okay, helping us to find boundaries, not only in our mental space, that control and authority over our minds, control and authority over our imagination, okay? But also the grit, the strength, the character, the fortitude, okay? To block out, separate, and have boundaries between the imagination of others and yours, okay? I can't manifest from you. I gotta manifest from me, okay? I could catch a wave from you, you heard? I could get influence from you in a positive way. That's a beautiful thing. I could turn on music to lift myself up. I could read, to catch a wave, to channel, to beam myself up concerning Neptune and Pisces. Yeah, all these things. But there's also the noise of other people who might laugh at you or have something negative to say about what you really believe or know you should manifest, create into your life, or what direction you should go, right? How you should do things. Canceling out the noise of other people's judgments and opinions, okay, about your creation process. Not allowing other people's opinions, public opinion, okay? The public might say, oh, you can't dress like that, or you can't, buy that type of shoe. You can't buy that type of car. You can't live in that type of house because it's not the popular thing to do. Public opinion disagrees with it, okay? Separating yourself from public opinion, taking your imagination out of the confines and the restrictions of public opinion, not being subject to public opinion and the power of your imagination. Understand? Redeeming your imagination, separating your imagination from the crowd, the voice of popular opinion and pop opinion and public opinion. Understand? It's very important because you get contamination in your manifestation. You get contamination in your process. Then you're in a reality that's not authentic to who you are, but it's a direct reflection of what the world wants you to be or prefers you to be. Understand? Okay? So to get that accuracy, we have to have Saturn at Pisces 12th house, ruled by Neptune, in order for us to make boundaries, okay, in our mental space, in our imagination, to be able to know the difference between what my thoughts are and what somebody else's thoughts are. Understand? And where do we learn this lesson? We learn this lesson, South Node Libra. South Node Libra taught us to close out the voice of public opinion. the in crowd, the popular people, the cheerleaders on the side, the naysayers, what the most popular opinion is on social media, what celebrities are doing, what celebrities approve of, what artists are doing, what artists approve of. We were learning how to pull ourselves out of that imagination, out of that manifestation, so that we could return to an authentic manifestation into the new timeline, where there's not contamination in that first initial step. Because if the first step is contaminated, everything is contaminated. Dirty water. Dirty water. And this process started with Black Moon Lilith transiting Leo, which initiated the downfall of celebrities. And boy, did they fall. Understand, okay? So now the celebrities are out the way. Now that the noise of liberalism is out the way, because liberalism has fallen with the South Node Libra, we now can be authentic. We now can have greater access, sharper clarity in who we are authentically as a people. And our new timeline is all about that. Now, before going into Jupiter, what happens if you get stuck at the step of Neptune, but you don't pass it over to Jupiter, right? You just become a dreamer. You become a dreamer. And you never convert your dreams to a realistic concept or draft in order for you to feel motivated on what actions to take. You see what I'm saying? It's just a floating dream in your head, but you didn't pass it over to Jupiter to where you can make it relatable to your reality. Okay? The concept of the imagination has to descend from Neptune to Jupiter in order for it to become a relatable reality. And relatable means what's within your means, what's within your capacity, what's accessible to you or not. What do you have at your disposal to make this happen? How much time, how much money, all these different things, right? What's the depth of it? What's the weight of it? What's the real weight of this reality? And this is how you become delusional. You think that you deserve something that you don't. You think that you're getting ready to create something or manifest something that's totally out of your league. And when we're being unrealistic, we become delusional, then we end up becoming entitled. Because Neptune will then attempt to go through Venus to get what it wants, short-circuiting Saturn. That's what happens. It drops down to Venus and it short-circuits Saturn. Now you become a manipulator. You feel entitled to everything. You feel like everybody did you wrong if they don't help you to create it, because you failed to bring it to Jupiter's office. All right? And I'm going to explain what that step means if you keep listening. Protect your imagination. Protect your imagination, okay? The more learning we do, the more experiences we have, traveling places, talking with other people, paying attention and being present in our environment, these different things, all of that will come to assist and help our imagination when we are producing thought, okay? Keeping yourself with a clear conscience. A guilty conscience can strain the imagination. Fear can suppress the imagination. Self-hatred, self-loathing, depression, all of this stuff can constrain the imagination. Indulging too much in things such as artificial stimulants like video games and drugs and all these, too much of things like that can work against your imagination. Okay, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep it a buck. There are situations where things like LSD, shrooms, so on and so forth, yeah, it did a hell of a thing for the imagination in unlocking and releasing heavenly, artful experiences that channel down to earth. Look at Jimi Hendrix. I mean, the epitome of Neptune and Pisces. Understand? Okay, so it could go in both directions. Okay. Neptune and Pisces rules the number 7. Okay, and if anybody knows a person who has a life path number 7 or the heart urge 7, they're very mystic people. They're very mystical people. You know, the Erica Badu type people. You understand, the Andre 3000 type of personalities. Not saying that they are 7s, but that's what 7s usually vibe on, that type of, you know, frequency. You understand, very mystical, you know, spacey, spiritual, sensual, artful, you understand, in these type of realms. Okay, we should certainly be intentional with our imaginations. Test yourself, push yourself to the limit with your imagination. Try to exercise your imagination more and more. You know, this is why it's good to do things like painting, drawing, artwork. I talk a lot about poetry, you understand, in the sense of teaching, but the truth is, okay, poetry, just like philosophy, is very good for enhancing our creative expression, okay, and tying together the imagination and philosophical thought, or along with articulation, okay. However, when I talk about poetry, I'm talking about sincerity in teaching, you understand, and not being watered down. But art, it helps enhance our imaginations. It is very good for our imaginations to be artful. This is why children, interacting with children, animals, nature, elders, it's very good for the imagination, especially babies, okay? And especially animals. They stimulate our imagination, okay? So take pride in your imagination and become more aware of the fact that you have an imagination, and try to use it as often as you can, because the sharper and more detailed the colors and concepts that you can put into your imagination, the more you're given Jupiter to assist you with. And the more that you enrich Neptune and Jupiter, the more effective that your Mars can be in creating that heart soul urge vibration out into your life as a manifest experience. Understand? And the fruit of Mars is at the 6th house, that which you do daily. And the 6th house becomes the character, okay? The 10th house. And the 10th house falls into residual income, resources, abundance, blessings, things of that nature, self-esteem, okay? All of that. Now, consider intrusive thoughts, okay? What if you have people around you, okay, or a certain person around you who's always, you know, giving you intrusive thoughts? Here you are trying to give a focus to, you know, enrich your imagination toward a reality that you're lining up with, okay? And they keep giving you intrusive thoughts, you know, saying very low vibrational things to you, you know, haunting you, giving you nightmares, you know, damn near in your head. You understand? Things like that. Always saying something negative, you know, about you or to you or whatever else. And these intrusive thoughts enter your head, and now it becomes a part of the atmosphere of your imagination. And what's in your imagination, sooner or later, is going to find itself in your reality. So we could provoke our imagination, stimulate our imagination, enrich our imagination, suppress our imagination. It's all up to us. But that's our heaven, is what we need to know. That's our heaven. All right, now we on Jupiter, okay? Let's follow. Jupiter, the drafting technician, okay? So we came from the concept artist, all right? Mars, the carpenter, already went to the office of the concept artist. And he got the concept of what he's going to create, okay? Of what he's going to initiate through physical action, okay? And effort, understand? So he has the concept, okay, that's what you want. I got it. Now he takes that file, okay, down the hall. So Neptune says, okay, now take this drawing down the hall to Jupiter's office so he could draft it, all right? So now Mars like, I bet. So I'm going to go to Jupiter's office, you know what I mean? And I'm going to get this drawing drafted so that there could be accuracy, specifications, according to the laws of physics, according to what is realistic, according to what is accessible to me or not, according to what I know and understand, ninth house of this world, of this reality, of this life, of that which I know to be true and correct, of that which I know to be proper, of that which I know to be something that is doable. Okay, so this can't remain just, a dream that's floating in the air. Now you have to bring it down to earthly concept that is measurable. Okay, understand? So this is where Jupiter pulls influence off of the ninth house, okay, in itself as well. Ninth house is where we have competence, not just confidence, okay? Jupiter is confidence. Don't get me wrong. It's confidence in Pisces. It's competence in the ninth house Sagittarius, okay? It's a difference. It's confidence in Pisces. It's competence in ninth house Sagittarius, okay? Understand, it's a difference, okay? But Jupiter is both. So the part of competence with Jupiter is Mars or Ogun goes to Jupiter's office, and here goes this old man with white hair, right? And he has hard hands, quite muscular, a gritty, look about himself. He looks like he's been in 1,000 construction sites, okay, or whatever, and there's plaques and rewards on the back wall. What does that tell you? It gives you confidence. You're like, wow, this guy has experience. I'm in the right hands. You understand? That's the ninth house that's behind Jupiter, okay? That white hair, the old man, and you tell he has like so much experience. Whatever you tell him, he's going to understand. That's Jupiter. That's ninth house, okay? You're pulling off of that with Jupiter. Okay, everything that you've experienced, everything that you do understand, your competence, your training, your skill, that which elder people taught you, that which gurus taught you, all right? That's mentorship that played a part in you conceptualizing or drafting an idea, okay? Your ability to take an idea and to make it a realistic draft can go very well when you have mentorship, okay? When you have people of experience behind you, when you go to school, when you go to training, when you, are in apprenticeship, different things like that. All of this is ninth house, okay? Again, so the concept drawing now goes to the office of Jupiter, who's very experienced, old, and seasoned, and creating everything, okay? So Jupiter, the drafting technician, is sitting here. Okay, how can I help you? You give him the concept drawing. He's looking at the concept drawing. Okay, that's what you want. Now, you do understand these walls are going to have to be at least 30 feet. All right, cool. So I see, you want, and you can look at the picture and follow me, of course. You understand that this is going to require a considerable amount of scaffolding as well, because look at all the windows that you got. We got some stucco to put in. There's a couple of, bearers, going on there. The garage door, a couple of details there. We're going to need scaffolding around this whole thing. So let me whip something up for you so you can have, a drafted, realistic idea and concept of what this is going to require, of what the scope and magnitude of the situation is, okay? So Jupiter is what converts it into scope and magnitude, okay? Scope and magnitude. Look at Jupiter. It's the biggest planet, okay? And with Jupiter being the biggest planet, scope and magnitude, right? Okay, scope and magnitude. Jupiter is massive. So we're talking about scope and magnitude. What is the scope and magnitude of this concept that I have in my head? This thought that I have, that I have in my imagination. What is the magnitude? What is the magnitude of what I'm dealing with? The magnitude in costs, the magnitude in material, the magnitude in, time, all of these different things. So you're pulling off of the ninth house where you have to get advice from people, or your past experience tells you, your training tells you, so on and so forth. And according to Pisces, Jupiter has a different disposition, which is confidence, optimism, creativity. It's basically converting the dream state drawing into a mathematical, geometrical drawing that is relatable in real time. Okay? Relatable in real time. So it's going from your 5-year-old little sister drawing the picture, okay, to your 25-year-old, graphic design school graduate sister drawing the same thing, but according to her experience in college, okay? That's the difference right there. The difference is like you drew a picture of what you want, okay? It's a dress that you want. You drew the dress. It's a car that you want. You drew the car and you took it to the person who has experience in training, and they give you a picture that's not totally different, but it is different because it has to submit to the laws of physics. It has to submit to the laws of logic, geometry, mathematics, all of these different things, construction, engineering, so on and so forth. So the picture's going to look different from that. So this is where Neptune and Jupiter has a passing over, okay, of this manifestation. So if you look at the image that I put up here, drafting technician, you can kind of see what I mean by this is that by the time you take an idea and you draft it, now you have a scaled idea, okay? And you have a concept of magnitude that's going to have to go into this, all right? This is where creativity opens up, because the creativity, again, is where the imagination is relatable to what you understand of the real physical realm, okay? That's how that works. Now, let's go on over to the next point. Now, Jupiter can overdo it. Wherever you have Jupiter in your natal chart, that's where you tend to overdo it, okay? And wherever Jupiter is at in its transit, that's where you can overdo it, okay? You can overestimate things, okay? You could go way over and beyond. If Jupiter is in place, for example, say Taurus, okay? You could be gluttonous, eat way too much, indulge way too much in pleasures, okay? If Jupiter is in, for example, say Scorpio, you're very lustful in a very deep, intimate way, like you consume the person you can consume a person sexually, okay, or dominate them in that way, a little too much. If Jupiter is in the first house, you can gain weight. You understand? Second house, you spend way too much, but at the same time, you will make a considerable amount, at the second house. So wherever Jupiter is at, it does take expansive qualities to it. So what helps with that is that, first of all, when Jupiter is that way, it's pulling more off of Pisces, okay, than it is the ninth house Sagittarius, okay? When it's in Pisces, it's impulsiveness. When it's in Sagittarius, it's more of impulsiveness through our curiosities and beliefs. And through Pisces, it's impulsiveness through fears and subconscious programming. Okay? So we could check that. So when that excessiveness is there, if there's an overestimation of confidence and such, right? Like you're going in something blind because you're being a little too optimistic about it, okay? You're not taking precautions or preparation or anything, the ninth house can help balance that out through competence, through mentorship, through gaining advice, okay? The ninth house is where you get advice, you get tutelage, you get mentorship, you get help, you get assistance from someone who has a greater level of competence than you. And you can't be afraid to do that. It's a place where there are higher authorities to help you out. You understand? Going through legal processes and procedures, ninth house. Okay? Traveling to experience how something is done right or correct, or in other ways where you can guide your appetite, okay, in a realistic manner, okay? So through Pisces, you could go way too overboard because Pisces, Jupiter tends to lack boundaries, okay? Pisces in and of itself tends to lack boundaries. So you can recoup that by going through the ninth house, which means call somebody up, get with somebody who knows better, you understand, to help you out. Drawing off of your Saturn is where your discipline is at. Okay, remember, Saturn is the maturity in all things. So anytime an impulse is acting in an immature, indulgent, or self-destructive manner, Saturn is how you find a way to stop it. Okay, so your natal chart Saturn describes how your strength works, how your personal authority works. Understand? So the next point that I'm going to bring you to is Pallas Athena, okay? Jupiter's daughter, Pallas Athena, the war strategist, okay? So now that you're the co-op of Mars, you went to the concept artist, then you took it to the draft technician, okay? And now it's time to take it to Jupiter's daughter, Pallas Athena, the war strategist, okay? She's the one who's going to take this concept and she's going to say, oh, okay, I see. And this has to go like this and this has to go like that. Okay, I got a strategy for this. I'm going to show you how to plan your project, okay? Because if you have a project, you need a plan. You know what I mean? You got to plan a project. There has to be a timeline. There has to be a budget. There has to be a workforce. You understand? There has to be a start time and end time. Okay? There has to be certain goals in between those things. All right? How are you going to manpower this thing? How are you going to fund it? You know, what type of resources are you going to have to tap into to get the material and manpower, or resources and different things like that? What about the legal aspects? You have to get certain licensing. You understand, certain permits, okay? Codes and specs that you have to get acquainted with, in order to go undertake this project. So who goes into that part? You guessed it, Mercury, okay? That's where Mercury comes in at, okay? Data and intel. Mercury goes into the discovery packet of data and intel, okay? So Mercury assists out all of this, obviously. So once we came out of this relationship of Mars, Neptune, and Jupiter, now it's time to take data in order to inform strategy, okay? So Mercury gathers the data and puts numbers to the drafting details of Jupiter. It puts measures to the drafting details of Jupiter, okay? And it puts numbers to the scale and scope of Jupiter in that concept. Mercury does that, all right? However, after Mercury, okay, the project itself is submitted to Pallas Athena, the war strategist, okay? She's the one who embodies Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. You notice I mentioned Saturn, okay? Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, okay? Now, also who she works with is the moon, okay? Because you have to have intuition to go with strategy as well. Intuition informs the strategy simply because the moon is what crystallizes pathways that you have already walked down, okay? Wherever the sun has gone, the moon has crystallized those experiences. Wherever the sun has traveled, the moon has downloaded and put into a memory card an SD, a memory card, all of those experiences. Okay. The moon is what culminates all of those experiences as intuition or wisdom. Okay. And Pallas Athena works off of that along with Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in order to produce a strategy. Strategy, of course, is like playing chess. You see chess in the background in this image, okay? Not checkers. This is not impulsive, reactionary situation. This is strategic. Strategic, okay? Which covers a timeline of events, a series of events interchangeably, all right, that has to respect and submit to rules, laws, timelines, capacity, capability, competence, you understand? Resources, all of these things have to collaborate and work together. Now, Saturn is very key because Saturn is what gives grit, it gives strength, self-restraint, it gives discipline, it gives staying power, it gives the character. Saturn blesses everything. Okay? If you don't, not having Saturn is like, it's like you bake a cake without an egg. And a cake comes out all rubbery and watery. You know what I'm saying? It's like a body without bones. Okay? Saturn represents calcium for a reason. It represents the bones for a reason. Nothing works without Saturn. Nothing is prosperous without Saturn. And I mean nothing. Okay? Saturn is what gives you the ability to relate to and understand gracefully delays. Okay? To anticipate delays. To have acceptance for delays. Because delays are part of a perfect plan. Okay? Delays are part of a perfect plan. Understand? Okay? Maturity. Having a strategic approach to things rather than being impulsive. That Saturn with Mars is what blesses Mars. The Saturn with Jupiter is what blesses Jupiter, so that Jupiter is not overconfident, so that Jupiter has competence with the confidence, so that Jupiter is not excessive, okay? So that Jupiter does not spoil with excessiveness, understand? So Saturn is key to blessing these forces, okay? And Pallas Athena, as long as you got that Saturn there, I could come up with a strategy and I could land you right in there with minimal regrets and minimal costs. Understand, okay? That's where you finally have your project planning, okay? That's where the project planning comes in at, right there. So with that being said, I will say Venus is one to watch for. You got to be very careful with Venus when it comes to Mars, okay? Venus, without Saturn around, without having your Saturn involved in all you do, Venus can really set you up for failure, okay? Remember when Jesus was in the wilderness, okay, and Satan came to Jesus, or Lucifer came to Jesus and offered him everything that already was his. You know what I mean? And there was a time where he said, get behind me, Satan. You know what I mean? He said, get you behind me, Satan. That's him exercising his authority to appropriate the relationship between him and that force, knowing that that force belongs behind him and not in front of him. Give not thy strength to a woman, okay? You don't give the divine masculine and all of his strength to the divine feminine, because now you're about to set yourself up for failure, okay? Venus cannot lead Mars, all right? Mars has to work independent of Venus. It has to work on its own authority. It could do for Venus, okay? It can create and co-create for Venus as it's supposed to, but it can't just give its strength to Venus, which is you can't give your authority to Venus. You can serve and work for Venus, but you can't give your authority to Venus. Okay? Because Venus is what homes you into what you desire to experience of seventh house relationships and what you desire to experience of second house, the material realm, material experiences, physical experiences, comforts, pleasures, foods, things of that nature. Okay? But she cannot take command. All right? Your Venus has to be behind your Mars. And your Mars has to stand in agreement with its hierarchy. It has to stand in agreement and obedience to its higher authorities, Jupiter and Saturn especially. Because what also comes with Jupiter is your philosophy, your understanding, your higher self, your higher wisdom, your higher conscious, that which consists of the crown chakra. Morals, values, and principles that you inherited from elders, from gurus, from teachers, from mentors. When you go astray from what elders and ancestors too, because Jupiter does represent ancestors in the natal birth chart, when you betray elders and ancestors, when you do not reverence them or honor them, you're going to curse yourself. It's just that simple. You have to keep that reverence, not straying away from that which you were taught better than, not betraying your wisdom. Understand? So you can't let your Mars betray your ninth house. You can't let your Mars go against your ninth house. It has to stay in obedience and compliance with that higher authority. Because that's who Mars is there to defend, also as the warrior, which is a different side of this story. Mars is right next to Jupiter as an officer, defending what you believe in. You see, defending what you believe in, your philosophies, higher learning. Understand? Also, practicing what you know, exemplifying that which you know. This shows competence. Okay? When Mars does that which is in contradiction to what you know better than, you are showing incompetence. You are being incompetent. Okay? And that's the problem with it. Mars cannot listen to Venus while betraying Jupiter in the ninth house. Because now you're being incompetent because you're following your desires over your understanding. You're betraying your wisdom. Understand? So, impulsiveness is what manifests basically when we're a mess and we're not in the order of chain and command concerning Mars. Okay? Understand that. You are the creator. You are. You're the creator. You create and you co-create with others. And before something comes into existence, you authorize an experience to manifest. You do. You consent to an experience to manifest based on what you say and based on what you do, based on what you don't say and based on what you don't do. Okay? And what comes out from that can either be a witnessing of you as incompetent or competent. It's up to you. But we don't get to always play victim, which is why we have to develop mindfulness about ourselves as creators. That at every moment you're in the middle of creating or co-creating an experience that affects you or affects others in this timeline or in timelines that come after you. We have to become intentional. The 12th house rules Pisces. We know that we have karma moving through Pisces, through Saturn, of course. And I just got done going over how we manifest from Pisces concerning Neptune and Jupiter. Don't you know this happens with curses too? Okay, so if you have negative aspects in the 12th house going on, and your imagination is running wild with dark thoughts, with evil thoughts, with negative things, right? with impulses in the blood that was, given to you, or what you programmed into the blood during your lifetime through iniquities, okay, you are going to be misusing your Mars and misusing your Jupiter to bring in concepts of that darkness, and then casting drafts of that darkness, and then initiating strategies to create from that darkness. And now you have a reality that you regret. Now you're passing down the curse over and over again. The 12th house is full of impulses that are either in shadow or in illumination, and that is up to us, okay? When we are reactionary, it gets the best of us. When we all become responsive, we get the best of it. We take back control when we're responsive. And this is why we learned a lot about the amygdala, the fight or flight, taking command of it, taking back that control through Scorpio. Understand? So the same way that I went over this about you conceptualizing in your imagination a car, there are things that run in our imagination that might not be healthy. You up on, Pornhub, you hanging out with people who want to rob, steal, cheat, and kill. You understand? You are opening your eyes and your ears up to influences that are not healthy, not positive, not good, not constructive or productive. You understand? You're feeding your vices. You're listening to negative programming about yourself. Okay? Certain demons are calling you of gluttony, of lust, of hate, of anger, of rage, of guilt, of shame, so on and so forth. And you're responding to whatever's in that 12th house is asking for your consent, asking for your authority to manifest itself into your 6th house, okay? The 6th house is the fruit of Mars, understand? Just like the 5th house is the fruit of Venus, okay? Listen. The 6th house is the fruit of Mars, that which you do, okay? That which you do repeatedly. The 5th house is the fruit of Venus, that which gives you joy and pleasure. Understand? You see? So, the 6th house is where what's in the 12th house needs your permission and consent to make its way over there. Through your Mars, it wants to short circuit your judgment. It wants to short circuit your better judgment, which is who's your better judgment? Jupiter, 9th house. It wants to short circuit and go straight through your amygdala, fight or flight center, in order to skip all those authorities and bring in the curse, bring out the demons into the 6th house. Now, the gluttony that was in the 12th house found its way into your hand in the form of a big juicy burger, and you sitting here weighing 420 pounds. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think we get to understand, the concept of this. Ask questions freely, if you like to make sure that there's an understanding. And I was inspired to make this recording, based on, a good friend of mine, a brother who I always, get to work with behind the scenes. He knows who he is, out there. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name or not, but I really appreciate the conversation that we had, and it just let me know that I should produce this, because maybe everybody will want to learn from it also. So thank you all for listening. Comment, share, like, subscribe, all of that. One.